What is up, Mindset Hackers? Thank you so much for joining me here today. It is a brand new week and another opportunity for you to go out there and create the life that you want and the life that you deserve. It all starts right here. It starts today. On this episode, I'm going to be sharing with you the 3-step formula that I use with all of my clients and myself to get results. This is something that helps you easily diagnose where you are stuck and how to move past that, how to create the life that you want, how to crush the biggest goals that you want, whether it's your personal life or in business, whatever you want to make happen. You can use this formula to find out exactly what it is that you need to make happen to take you to the next level. Welcome to the Mindset Hackers podcast, where we will help you level up both personally and professionally. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you'll never miss an episode. Now, let's get going. Welcome back, Mindset Hackers. Before we dive in, I would love it if you would do this. If you are on a smartphone, a mobile phone, or if you're on your desktop, please, whatever you're listening to this on, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, Google, or Apple, please hit the subscribe button. Don't just hit it, smash that thing, because I want to be here for you week in, week out, delivering value that will help you level up in your own life. Okay, so today, here's what we're going to talk about. I'm going to share with you a 3-step formula that I use with myself, with my one-on-one clients, and with my group coaching clients to diagnose what it is that we need to do to unlock the next level. This can be used in your business. This can be used in your personal life. This can be for small goals or for huge, massive goals. If you want to create the life that you want, I want you to be an active participant in this. Here's where this came about. So I am so lucky. I was fortunate to be asked to be a coach within a very, very high level mastermind filled with amazing entrepreneurs. And I was asked to basically be a LinkedIn coach. LinkedIn is a platform that I have really grown to love and use to create multiple streams of income. And so I was like, yeah, this is great. So I started teaching people about LinkedIn. What I found is I was rarely getting asked about LinkedIn because I actually have a separate coaching community where I do that. But what ended up happening is I was working with so many entrepreneurs and I ended up helping them with sales, with marketing, with branding. But here's the thing is I was doing a lot of mindset work too. And it was so interesting because talking to so many different entrepreneurs, I'd always try to isolate where is it that somebody is stuck? What is it that we need to do? Really like to find the obstacle that is in the way, break that down and move on to the next step. And in my personal business and my personal life, I've always known that when you just focus on the next step, get to that point, destroy, obliterate whatever is in your way, and then move to the next step, it's a really good formula for success. Just focus on the next step, get through that, and then go the next step after that. Just keep doing that consistently and the results will compound. So what would happen is a lot of entrepreneurs, I would found that they would actually get caught up in a lot of overthink. And when I say overthink, this is kind of the mindset stuff. This is like the self-doubt, negative self-talk, imposter syndrome, worried if it's going to work out or not, fearing failure, fearing success, fearing what people will think, judgment, will I be able to handle all this? And I just kind of packaged that all up. And this became one of the buckets. It's the overthink bucket. So here's what's cool is when you spend less time overthinking things, you have more time to put into the other two buckets. Here's what this looks like, okay? Before I give you the formula, the 3-step formula for creating results, I want you to think about this, okay? If you're on the go right now, if you're listening to this podcast and you're working out, or maybe you're driving to work or you're out in the yard, please circle back on this because you can actually do this right now. You could do this exercise with me. If you're in a place where you can right now, you can grab a piece of paper, just a big blank piece of paper and a pen. And what we're going to do is we're going to break down this 3-step formula. There's going to be 3 columns that you can use to figure out what it is that you need to focus on to level up your personal life, your business, your big goal, whatever it is that your career. So do this with me if you can. If not, circle back. Okay. Here is the formula for getting results. Like I said, I can always figure out where it is that somebody needs to focus on. Sometimes it's in multiple of these buckets, but when they focus on this, they will get results. And you've got to learn to trust yourself. You've got to learn to trust yourself and trust this formula. Here is what it is. Knowledge plus action minus the overthink equals results. I'm going to say that again. Knowledge plus action minus the overthink equals results. Okay. So what you want to do is whatever you're working on, there's things that you don't know. There's missing pieces. And you've got to figure out what is it that I need to know to get to the next level. The next step is you've got to take action and implement that, right? They say knowledge is power. It is not power without action. It's potential power. Okay. Knowledge, you gain the knowledge that you need to. Otherwise, you're just basically a knowledge collector. Then you take action steps to unlock the next level. But here's the crazy thing. Like I mentioned, the third part is to turn down the overthink. You've got to figure out where it is that you're getting hung up. And like I said, working with so many entrepreneurs, they spend so much time wondering if it's going to work out, going back and forth in their head. And this is what's so cool though. And if you're in that spot where you do spend a lot of time in the overthink bucket, that is a vast source of time and energy. So when you start to identify this, you could turn down the level of overthink, and you've got to have that trust in yourself that it's going to work out. When you move away from that, that gives you so much time and so much energy to be focused on gaining the knowledge that you need to, then implementing the actions that you need to, the action steps to move forward to create the results that you need. Knowledge plus action minus the overthink equals results. Let's talk for a minute about each of those categories. And if you are able to journal this out, like I said, grab a big blank piece of paper and put 3 columns. One column says, that's the knowledge. The next column is the action. And the third column is the overthink. And work through this. Like, what is it that you're working on in your life? And go and journal out in each of these 3 categories where you can find some optimization. When it comes to knowledge, here's the thing is a lot of people try to do it yourself, right? A lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to spend money on coaching, or I don't want to, spend time like listening to stuff like, cause I'm so busy. That's part of the overthink. You're questioning it, right? And what it's doing is it's preventing you from gaining the knowledge that you need to. People often they try to cheap it and they try to do it yourself and they end up spending so much time and frustration running their head against the wall when they could easily access that information. They can find somebody who's been there before, who's done it before, who can work with them and help them, teach them the specifics that are relevant to them. Another thing is sometimes people are gaining the wrong knowledge. They may be open and susceptible to learning. They might want to be spending some time learning, but they may also be getting their information from the wrong place. For example, you could have somebody who is like, 10 miles down the road from where you're at, and they're giving you knowledge based on where they're at, but not based on where you are at. I see this as a big problem too. Like we all follow these big influencers, and they're on a different level than most of us, and they could be giving us information from their perspective, and we're trying to make it work, but it's not working. And you're like, I'm investing in myself. I'm trying to learn, but it might be just the wrong knowledge depending on where you are at in your journey. So I want you in that first column, where do you have room to optimize? Are you trying to do it yourself all the time? Is there somebody out there that can help you out? And you're not taking advantage of that, right? Or maybe you're listening to the wrong person that, isn't giving you the right information for your particular situation. Ask yourself, this is such a powerful question. Ask yourself, what is it that I'm missing? What is it that I don't know right now? And how do I find that? Okay, let's move on to the next category, which is action, okay? Here's the thing. There's something that I call shadow action. So shadow action is when people, they want to move forward, and maybe they're gaining a lot of knowledge. I see people who often are really good at purchasing course after course after course, but they're avoiding taking action. They're avoiding implementing things because something, there's some fear behind that, right? And that actually goes in the overthink column. They're worried about something. So they feel like they're taking action, but all they're really doing is they're doing activities that don't really move the needle. Let me give you another example of this. So there's people out there that are really good with to-do lists, and they'll write out 20 things that they need to do today. And there's 3 things on that list that's going to move the needle in their personal life or their business. and they're avoiding them. They're checking off all the boxes of the easy stuff that gets done anyways and avoiding the stuff that is going to move the needle. You must take action, my friends. You must be focused on taking the right action too. Okay. In the other column, when I was talking about knowledge, about sometimes there's people who are giving you knowledge, but it's not necessarily relevant to where you are at. Same thing with action. You can have somebody who's further up ahead, in this journey, telling you to take action, take action. I've seen this before. I've seen really bad coaches that are like really mean and almost shameful towards their students and saying, oh, you're just not taking enough action. But they're telling them to take actions based on having, a following with 35 million followers, where it works differently than the person who's just starting out. And then they shame them, like that person's trying and trying, but the actions that they're taking are the wrong actions from where they're at. Here's another thing that I want you to think about when it comes to the action steps is, what are 3 things that you can do today? They can be small things that will move the needle. I love writing. I'll get like a 3x5 card, and I'll write my one short-term goal, one medium-term goal, and one long-term goal. And on the other side of the 3x5 card, I'll write one action step that I can take today towards the short-term goal, one action step I can take towards the medium-term goal, and one action step that I can take towards the long-term goal. If I have just those 3 things to focus on today, that's not a whole lot, but those are things that actually do move the needle. So you've got to ask yourself, when it comes to the action column, am I taking the wrong action? Am I not taking action? Am I avoiding taking action? Where is it that that you can optimize on this? And like I said, break it down, make it super easy. Don't focus on a million things. Think about the things that are actually going to move the needle when it comes to your bigger goals, when it comes to the results that you want to get. Okay, let's dive into the last column, and then we'll close up this episode, but this is the most important one. This is the overthink column. I mentioned this before. This is a big, broad bucket of the mindset stuff, okay? So this could be just like, you're like, is this going to work out? Is it not going to work out? And you're kind of questioning yourself, and you're spinning your wheels, you're spending time wondering if it's going to work out, rather than focusing on the first 2 columns. Okay. It could be the negative self-talk. It could be the self-doubt. It could be the imposter syndrome. Okay. It could be the comparison game. Maybe you're spending a lot of time focused on other people and what they're doing instead of, worrying about your own stuff. Okay. That comes up a lot. Fear of success. I used to not know what fear of success was. I was like, doesn't everybody want to be successful? I know that I do. Okay, fear of success is something that can be really debilitating because we start to worry, am I going to be able to keep up? What happens if I actually do get success? Does that mean time away from my family? Does it mean I'm not going to see my kids? Does it mean I have 20 employees that I got to take care of? Okay, here's the thing. This is such a realization right here, is that when you have this fear of success, you're thinking about things that aren't even on the horizon. They're not even close to being in front of you. You haven't even got to the point where you need to worry about that, right? But people are literally spending time worried about that stuff and not taking action towards what it is that they truly want to get those results, right? This is a perfect example of how the time and energy is spent focused on things that aren't even close, aren't even on the horizon, and taking us away from what is going to actually make the results happen. Okay. So fear of failure, that's another one, right? That's something I could probably relate to, but here's how I overcome that. I don't believe there's such a thing as failure. If I don't get the results that I want, I've learned something. Okay. There's an outcome that I desire, that I seek, but a lot of times I don't get that outcome. What I do get though is data. Okay. I get feedback. I have moved in a certain direction, and maybe that's not the direction that I should have gone, but at least I know where I am. Okay. So I turn down that lever, when it comes to fear of failure. I just don't even think of it as failure anymore. I just know that if I'm moving in a direction and I don't get the results that I want, I have gotten the gift of feedback. I have learned something. I've gained knowledge that's going to help me get that result in the future, right? Fear of what other people are thinking, okay? So that's something that you have to work on. Well, some people don't, but most people have some type of fear of judgment. and they worry about what other people are going to think. Okay. The way to solve that is when you hear that voice, step into it. Okay. I remember when I first started getting active on social media, I was worried about what people would think if I talked about self-love or meditation. And every time I heard that feeling, okay, I do not want that to hold me back. I do not want to be hostage to that thought. So every time I would have that thought, I would, post whatever was on my mind. And as you do this more and more, you realize that people aren't focused on you. They're focused on themselves, okay? And the people who do judge you, they're judging themselves, right? Judgment is an insecurity. So if there is actually somebody who is judging, I mean, most people don't care. There's going to be some people who support you. There's going to be some people that judge you, but the ones who judge you are going to be the ones, it's not about you, it's about them. So once you have these mindset hacks to be able to deal with the overthink, think about how much time and energy you can spend focusing on the first column, the action and the knowledge, okay? That's where you need to be. Here's the thing too, I'm going to wrap this episode up in just a sec, but all of the people who crush it the best in my group coaching or my one-on-one coaching are the people that spend very little time in that third column. They're focused on asking themselves, what is it that I need to know? What is it that I do not know right now? How can I find that out? How can I gain that knowledge? And then the implementation. Now I know that, I'm going to take action, okay? The overthink affects the other two. Not only does it take time and energy away from you, but it also creates stories that don't need to be here. I'm going to give you an example of that. A lot of people, they know what they want. They have this big goal, this big vision. And then when they do have the opportunity to take action or gain the knowledge, all of a sudden it's like, well, I'm too busy, like I don't have time. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. Okay, those are stories that are manufactured from your subconscious because it's afraid of opening up a new door. Okay, that's another example of why the overthink is so debilitating and why being stuck can fall in all three of those categories. So I'm going to wrap this up. But again, the formula for creating massive results in your life, okay, gain the knowledge that you need to, figure it out, what is the missing piece, and focus on finding out what it is and learning. Become a student to learning. Always be a lifelong learner, right? The next thing, make sure you are implementing. Even if you are learning, you could be doing what I call shadow action and you're collecting a bunch of courses or you're doing things that don't necessarily move the needle. Ask yourself, what are the 3 things that I need to do today that will help me get closer to the results I want? Like I said, pick a short-term, medium-term goal and long-term goal and just do one action step towards each of those. And over time, you will have massive success. And the last thing, turn down the volume when it comes to overthink, because if that's where you're at, if you are spending a lot of time worrying about if it's going to work out or not, realize this, that is your key. That is the fuel source to put more time and energy into the first 2 columns. All right, my friends, a couple calls to action for you. I would love it. Like I said, when I first opened up this episode, make sure you hit the subscribe button. I would love it if you have somebody out there that you could share this episode with that might get some good takeaways from this. And then also, I have a newsletter where I send out really cool stuff to my audience every single week. I am going to drop the link. This is around business. This is around mindset. This is around money mindset. Those are topics I love to talk about, but I always go deep on those and share some really cool stuff. So if you're a professional or an entrepreneur, please check the show notes. Drop in on my email list so I can add value every single Sunday. All right, I'll see you on the next episode. Thank you so much.